Around the world are wonderful tourist spots, creepy happenings, and overall incredibly mysterious places that deserve a spot in the limelight. These places are often hidden away from the masses and are most commonly known by the locals of the area or interested and obsessed researchers of the paranormal, supernatural, and those merely looking for an interesting story to tell. Today, we will be going over these places and helping to provide more insight as to their location and the local rumours associated with it. So, here are 10 secret places that most people around the world don't know exists. The Crooked Forest in Szczecin, Poland. In a small area of western Poland, located near the town of Gryfino, exists a forest both strange and mystifying in its nature. For some odd reason not entirely known even to this day, researchers have found that the entirely woodland seems to contain a bizarre collection of curved trees, usually curved in the same direction and dramatic in their curvature. Numerous theories have been proposed as to the reason why these 400 selected pine trees grow with a 90-degree bend at their base that twists upward in a crescent shape, but no one has ever accurately found a satisfactory scientific explanation for this occurrence. Despite this, however, the Crooked Forest is a beautiful scenery that should be visited if possible. Though its origins and rumours might be shrouded in mystery and creepy happenings, visiting this strange land and experiencing the oddness of the area for yourself is a must-see. The Hashima Islands of Japan. Nicknamed Battleship Island due to its elongated size and cold militaristic design, the Hashima Island of Japan is no stranger to rumours of creepy sightings and paranormal claims. Back in its prime, the island served as a large-scale coal mine utilising undersea operations to retrieve the necessary resources to keep up with the rapid industrialisation that Japan had been undergoing and was desperately attempting to fulfil these industrial demands during and after the Second World War. It is due to this that the island had been criticised for its usage of forced labour and overall shady business practices that eventually led to the island itself no longer being allowed public access in 1974. Of course, this changed back in the early 2000s, and now tourists from around the world are allowed to visit this site and see its strange history, seemingly frozen in time. If you find that you are unable to make the travel to see this forgotten island, then be sure to check out a fan-made project known as hashimaisland.co.uk that allows people from around the world to virtually visit the island via a web page of documented photographs and gathered information. The abandoned town of Pripyat, Ukraine. Though many people are aware of the events of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant along with the evacuation of the city of Chernobyl, not many people are aware of the fact that the sister town known as Pripyat was also completely evacuated due to the radiation and fallout from the nuclear disaster. This has led the entire town to seemingly be flash frozen in the 1980s with decor and style to match. The most interesting of this finding is the Pripyat amusement park that not only helped to serve as an artificial time capsule of the event, but shows the horror of the aftermath of the nuclear tragedy. Tours of this town can be arranged, even allowing people to stay the night in one of the abandoned hotels of the area. The Caves of the Apostle Islands. The island is a part of a natural grouping of 22 islands in Lake Superior in northern Wisconsin. So the next time you find yourself out in that area, be sure to look out into the mysterious sea caves that litter the areas. One such place, known as Swallow Point on Sand Island, appears to take the form of strange coloured rocks that can stretch deep inside the island's interior with hidden coves and secret places to match. Many people find that the coves have special healing properties and can help to de-stress any cluttered mind, while also working to expand the brain given its striking visuals and beautiful scenery. The caves are then seen by locals as natural mysteries that are only further admired by those looking to enjoy the calmer and more beautiful sides of nature. The Screamin Tunnel of Ontario, Canada. Running below the old Grand Trunk railway lines in Canada is a small limestone tunnel known by locals as the Screamin Tunnel. This fear-inspiring name was not just given for the sake of scaring tourists, however, as the location is quite unusually not advertised or shared outside of local legends. The tunnel gets its name from an old rumour of a young girl attempting to get away from a burning building that had set her clothes ablaze. She ended up supposedly passing away in the tunnel, and the stories have it that if a person enters the tunnel with a blazing match, they will begin to hear the growing screams of the young girl terrified of the small flame. Interestingly enough, this phenomenon has been captured several times, and so have led some to believe that perhaps given the shape of the tunnel and the way air passes through, then the tunnel could be affected by small flames and thus creating a whistling or screaming sound. The Salt Flats of Bolivia. Probably the most awe-inspiring location on this list is the world's largest salt flat that happens to be located in South America. Local legends that originate from the Aymara people's culture describe a time of the giants and a terrible tragedy that led to the giants' tears forming the salt flats, which are now regarded as the world's largest mirror. If you happen to visit the area, most tourists remark on how the land naturally blends and reflects the sky, and on a clear day, appears to bridge the gap between the earth and the heavens. The site appears to be something out of a fairy tale, as most of the local cultures regard the site as incredibly holy and a focus of spiritual energies. The Overtown Bridge of Scotland. It is commonly known amongst animal behaviour experts that canines are among a select group of animals that are unable to commit jarring acts that can purposefully lead them to their own deaths. This theory has been put to the test again and again, however, as the Overtown Bridge of Scotland has led to a massive amount of dogs jumping off, and ultimately to their untimely demise. This hasn't just been isolated to a small amount. This has happened 386 times, from the exact same spot. Oddly enough, there appears to be no real reason for why this happens, no triggers or natural phenomenons to have caused these incidents, and yet it still continues to happen in nearly the exact same way. Most people aren't aware of this fact due to the efforts from the local government to keep the event hidden as to not scare away potential tourists, and have even led some efforts to remove the bridge from certain maps altogether. The disguised island of Poveglia, Italy. The island has served a variety of morbid purposes in the past, which has only led to the current Italian government working around the clock to wipe away its dark history and even the location of the island altogether. The island used to be a temporary living quarters by those infected with the plague, which would later go on to serve as their cemetery, as the bones of such individuals can still be found throughout the island today. In the early 1900s, the island was then repurposed with the goal of treating people who suffered from dangerous mental illnesses. This only helped to build upon the island's grotesque history, as the head doctor in charge of the patients would perform inhumane experiments and undocumented lobotomies on the island's patients. This would later lead the doctor to suffer from mental illness himself, as he would go on to end his own life on the island by hurtling himself off the tallest building on the small island. Estimates from experts believe the death toll in the area to be around 100,000 people combined throughout the centuries. The Hell Town of Ohio. Formerly known as Boston, Ohio, trying to look for this town on any maps after 1974 will yield absolutely no results. The reason for this was a sudden executive order that was passed by then United States President Richard Nixon that deemed an entire town to be made into a national park. This led to the military being deployed and forcing everyone from their homes that refused to leave, and patrolling the area for the next few years to make sure no one would try to return. During this time, the military worked to torch down every house in the area to make sure nothing was left standing, all under the justification of public interest to preserve the integrity of the national park and to allow for developments and visitation from the public, What seems to be made most odd is the fact that the park does not allow visitation of any kind due to it being seen as trespassing. What really happened in the hell town of Ohio all those years ago? The town of Centralia, Pennsylvania. Though many might not realize the significance, the small town of Centralia actually served as the inspiration for the Silent Hill franchise in its earliest conception. Due to underground gold and natural gas deposits, there has been an eternally raging fire that was lit underneath the now abandoned town that has been burning for over 55 years. Though finding this town can be easily accomplished by following the smoke plumes, getting to it is another matter of secrecy altogether. Given its hazardous quality, many are ejected from entering the area, and the knowledge of this town has slowly faded away from the public's attention. But what do you think of all these secret places? Will you be visiting these areas in the future? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comments section below and help us to grow this community and work to help solve these unexplained mysteries. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.